Hello, this is Galen Martling, design team member with Unity Stamp Company. I have an inspirational card today, and this one uses watercolor and also distress ink blending around the edges of it. So I start with Unity Stamp called Surround Yourself, and also I'm using Pretty Polkas paper pack by Unity. So this stamp is large, so all of the stamping is just one pass on the smooth side of watercolor paper. I use Ranger watercolor paper. It has a smooth side and a textured side, but for stamping the smooth side works the best. So now I go ahead and use Alt-New watercolor and their Alt-New palette mat to begin my watercolor, along with a little cup of water next to it. And I'm going to use a paper towel also for blotting. So I add teal towards the bottom of that vase and a light shade, and then I add a little bit of a darker shade to the bottom. You'll see that it did puddle a lot at the bottom, but no worries. I'm going to use some of that puddled teal for the flowers. And I just pick the color up right off the bottom there and you reuse it that way. And then go ahead and blend the excess around that base area. Now I dampen the brush a little bit and then I blend out that color on the petals. And then I go ahead and start adding a darker shade for accent along the creases and where I think there might be shade. And then I do that in tiny sections. And then I go ahead and that will also be blended out. And I do the same at the bottom. I add even more darker watercolor towards the bottom. And you'll see in a minute I'm going to take some of that color away while it's still wet. And so I blot my brush right on that paper towel and pull down some of that watercolor. And these are areas that I want to be highlighted. And I do a similar look for the top. I just dab that brush right in there to remove some of that excess watercolor. In between colors, I like to go ahead and heat set so that the colors don't blend in together when they're wet. So I mixed a little bit of a mint with a green for these leaves. I do that sometimes. I just like to mix colors to make a third color. Now I'm going to go back with a damp brush and pull that away from the tips of those leaves to look like highlights, and heat set that again. Now there's lots of circles around this vase, and I just wanted them to pop. I'm going to add a red heart later, and I wanted to add some red accents, and I thought this was perfect. So I just go and add one pass of the red, and then after it dries, I'll add some more accents of red on those same dots. And then heat set everything. And then I'm going to go ahead and make this even softer or looking with some distressing of the edges. This panel was die cut. You can use paper trimmer just the same to just trim out that sentiment there. But I had this die cut. It is retired now by my creative time, but it is easily to just make a rectangle would give it the same effect or similar effect. Go in circular motions with the Distress Oxide ink all the way around, and I do it a couple of times around to get that dark shade that I wanted. And then I forgot to color in the sun there, so I'm adding some yellow and orange watercolor to that sun. And then I'll heat set that. I put foam tape on this top panel to pop it up. And I'm going to use that polka dot paper by Unity. It's the size of the card base, so I start at the bottom to line it up, and then I place that panel right there onto the card base. Then I place the sentiment panel on top of that, along with a little heart. And it's so sweet. That's it. This whole thing was done with just one stamp. and it's beautiful. It's inspirational. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, and share my video. Have a wonderful day.